first step is to see myself as I am. What is the raw material available to me? And it's the duty of the teacher to point this out. This is done, and then the proper tools, which is meditation, pranayam, thinking also about it, studying the swadhyaya, studying this yourself, trying to study the scripture. Swadhyaya also means trying to study the self. Swadhyaya. And then who knows? In a split second, you might suddenly get the whiff of that breeze. We are back. Namaskar. Back to today's satsang. If you heard some music coming from somewhere, it's somebody's phone. Don't worry about it. We have musical phones here. Okay? So here we go. Let me start with the Shanti mantra. Om Asato ma Sadgamaya Tamaso ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityor ma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So, the question is, somebody asked a great yogi the other day, not anybody here now, not alive, long ago, are you a self-realized person? And the yogi turned to him and said, you just now stumped me. He said, why? He said, self-realized and person. Can anybody claim that one is self-realized? And if I say I am self-realized, how would you know? What is your judgment? How will you figure out? Perhaps if a yogi sees another yogi, he might say, okay, I can understand. But it has happened before. The great social reformer and saint and yogi and Vedantin, Sri Narayana Guru of Kerala, Shivagiri, went to Thiruvananthapuram unexpectedly, no previous contact, no nothing. Anyway, there was no internet, no cell phones. He just landed one day in Thiruvananthapuram to see Maharishi, Brahmana Maharishi. So that hut, which later on became bigger, in which Brahmana Maharishi used to give darshan, it was inside, and people used to sit. Opposite to that, after the little bit of a path, there was a tree, big tree. Now I forget what tree, there was a tree. Narayana Guru came with his constant attendant, Kunju Swami, and sat down there under the tree. He could see Maharishi, Maharishi could see him. There were other people sitting, darshan was going on, somebody asked something, Maharishi said something. There was no talk between these two. He just sat there. And the gong for lunch went. And Maharishi came out. He looked at him. And he said in Malayalam, Maharishi could read and write Malayalam because of Kunjaswami, who was his attendant for years. So he asked Narayana Guru, can we go for lunch? He said yes. So he took him. He went with him, sat down, had lunch. Maharishi returned. Narayana Guru returned to Trivandrum. I would say that is a sign of two people who know something, recognize each other. No need to discuss, no need to explain, no need for words. The moment words come into the picture, I am a little doubtful. And which realized person? I am a realized person. Who will say that? And is there mass realization? The other day somebody said, I was listening to the Shankaracharya of Puri, of the Govardhan Mutt, Swami Nischalananda Puri. You may agree with him, you may not agree with him on many points, but he's definitely a person who has gone deep into the study of Vedanta. So somebody went to him and asked him, can you open my third eye? He started laughing. He said, the other day somebody came to me and said, in Rajasthan there is a great teacher who said he can open my Agya Drishti, for 10,000 bucks. So I said, really? He said, yeah. He said he can open my third eye for 10,000 bucks. He said, I was wondering how many thousands Arjuna gave to Krishna to get his third eye opened. So all this business of selling moksha, of selling self-realization, no one can en masse attain moksha like that. Well, you can sing, you can go into historical dances, you can go into some jumping movements, but that is not going to moksha. Nobody can go en masse. Krishna himself has said in the Gita, among 1,000 people in this world, one has the thought to find moksha or Atma Sakshatkara. Out of 1,000 such, one finds the path. This is from the Gita, I am not quoting it from myself. And among one such, among thousands of such who have found the path, one walks on the path. And among thousands who walk on that path, one reaches the goal. So can we imagine a huge group of 10,000, 5,000, 1,000 people sitting, getting into some kind of ecstasy and saying we have attained moksha or self-realization? What is this self-realization? This is what I wanted to deal with today. Well, the only authority we can go back in Vedanta is probably Shankara. Now, there are different approaches, of course. When I say Shankara, I am not talking about any Shankaras now, Adi Shankara. Now, what is the meaning of this moksha business? What does it mean? What is self-realization? Where is this self? And who is realizing it? This is the question. There is a self, and who is recognizing the self? So, to that question, let me come first from Shankara. Now, in the bhashyas of Upanishads, in the Viveka Chudamani, Drik Driksha Viveka, and other like Brahma Sutras and so on, the Karikas, Shankara has done it in a very nice way. He says, if you see something which is asat, which means which is not real, which is temporary, which is here today and gone tomorrow, then it cannot be the sat, cannot be the reality which we are seeking. Human beings fortunately seek for it all the time. What do we seek? We seek permanency, we seek deathlessness, which is why we are so afraid to die. We seek satisfaction, we seek unending bliss. Nothing happens, but it comes a little bit, goes off, and then we are happy, then something. Today we are in this situation with this COVID virus. You can imagine countries and worlds which were considered superior to everybody are shivering in their boots. This is the world. So if you search around, you don't find it. So what happens, the process, the Vedantic process, is discard everything that is impermanent, which is unreal, which is not long-lasting, which is here today and gone tomorrow, including our thoughts, and keep going deeper and deeper. So this process called ne iti, this is not that. Ne iti, this is not it. Ne iti, why? Because I find it is temporary, it is asat, it is not the sat. Ne iti, not this. Ne iti, not this. Finally, after years of search, probably, of contemplation on this fact, not in 2 days, not through a formula. Some people think you take Kriya, you will get moksha. Please, I have no such claim. Then, these are all preparations to find it. Keep one by one negated. And then after a time you come when nothing can be negated. This is the pure witness, which you can't even define. And there is nobody else to say, here is the witness. Now, if you want to put it in English, it's a little roundabout construction. You can call that reality the Sat. The innegatable, that means which cannot be negated anymore. Substratum, essence. Innegable substratum after the negation of all tangible objects. Let's put it this way. This is my translation of Shankara. You can't translate Sanskrit into English, but this is roughly what we... nothing, when it comes to where nothing else, everything has been negated, then there is that. Now, can somebody say at that point, yes, I have found it, there is no I? Where is the... Who has... The moment I have found it, it is not the Sat. So when you say the word, commonly people throw it around. Self-realized person, self-realized, are you, sir? Is he self-realized? It's a dangerous word to use. It defeats its purpose. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, the very simple man, said it very nicely when he said, once the salt doll went to see how deep the ocean is. So it went into the ocean. Yeah, it might have found how deep the ocean, but where is the salt doll which has gone into nowhere to be seen because it is part of the sea? So in that case, where is the salt doll to say I am self-realized? There is no salt. If anybody says I am self-realized, I think it has to be examined carefully. Nobody can say. And second person definitely cannot say. Even if that person says, we have to say, okay, maybe, I don't know. What are the signs if he has? One is not perturbed by anything. Because why? And let me say, and is it something which can be described? You can only say it is not this. You cannot say it is this. Now here are the 4 Mahavakyas. Prajnanam Brahma. Brahma is consciousness. I am Atma Brahman. My Atman is Brahman. Not Brahma who creates, absolute Brahman. The Sat. Tat Tvamasi. You are not this, you are that. Aham Brahmasmi. Most dangerous of the Mahavakyas. Because people say Aham Brahmasmi, and their ego only becomes Brahman. There is no Brahman. When all the ego is gone, then only the Brahman remains. So these are the 4 Mahavakyas. So using these Mahavakyas, and the Upanishad says, Yad Vachana Abhyutitam, there the words cannot describe. Yad Chakshusha Pashyati, the eyes cannot reach. Shrotrena Nashrunoti, that which the ears cannot hear. Yan Manasana Manyute, which even the mind cannot understand. Now, if that is come upon, where is the mind? If the mind cannot understand, the mind cannot even describe. The mind has to completely go. So what is the process? The whole process of sadhana is to get rid of this idea of our ego, our importance, our, all things associated with my ego, until I see it and say, dash it, this is not what I want. And then perhaps the mind becomes free and quiet and cease. You don't need to learn Sanskrit to do that. But fortunately, unfortunately, all the texts on this subject have been written in Sanskrit. Therefore, tomorrow's 1 penny Guru says, in 10 days I will give you moksha. You just do this, whatever you are doing, this mudra, that mudra. Get into some kind of a hysteria. That is not moksha. It cannot be. People have strived for thousands of years, many births before they hit it. Beginning is to understand this fact that we need to get out of this feeling that I am this conditioned being. And for that, so that is self-realization, when there is nothing left but only the Supreme. This is what we all are actually trying to do in this world by acquiring things, by getting married, by not getting married, by taking sannyas, by not taking sannyas, by eating food. What are we? Satisfaction, fullness, because we feel empty. When you understand that this emptiness is a misunderstood identity, and the real identity is full, and that is your own self. And then for that, to understand that, you need to clear the conditionings of your mind, clear it from the turbulence caused by like and dislike, turbulence caused by fear. So, for that, suppose I am given a piece of wood. I want to make a beautiful image of Shiva or Krishna out of it. So, first I have to know the quality of the wood, which way the grains go. I should have the right tools. I should know how to, should have learned carpentry. And after knowing all this, first this has to be known. Then what do? Do I add anything to the block? No, I chip away. When I chip away and chip away and chip away, then finally that Krishna is left in the wood. I'm not adding, I'm chipping away. That chipping away is called neti, not this, taking it out. No, but first remember, the first step is to know the quality of the wood and the quality of the tools with which you can work on it. Therefore, I say, before you talk about that self-realization, Brahman and all that, the first step of self-realization is to know how you are right now. What is the material that is here which is going to find that? Me. And how do I know that? In my communication with the world, in the way I live, in the way I talk. Yesterday, 2 days back, we discussed mindfulness. So, to examine this material which we have, the wood from which the Krishna comes, which has to be chipped away, we should know the quality of the material, the quality of the tool. What are the tools? All the teachings that have come down to us. I'm not talking about any newfangled teachings. I'm not very sure about these. Teachings which have come from at least 1,000 years ago, let's say, which have been time tested. These are the tools. And Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, the Upanishads, the Karikas, the Brahma Sutras. I know there are some people who are Vedantins, who are yogis. All this is a surface fight. I mean, there is nothing. When Patanjali says in the Yoga Shastras, Chitta Vritti Nirodha, he's talking about the chipping away. And when Vedanta says not this, and finally you're left with only the Brahman, it's a chipping away. When the Sankhya, who doesn't have any belief in Ishvara or the creator or anything, says that the Prakriti has to be chipped away, only the Purusha remains, it is the same. Now, what I'm trying to say is, therefore, before that you cannot define. If you define it and move towards it, you will find what you have defined. It may not be the truth. Mind is very tricky. If I say Brahman is this and move towards it, I will find it. That may not be what the reality is, because I have covered it very successfully with my image of it. So if I say I am defenseless and vulnerable, I am just moving away this. And then when I find I am not there is only that. So again I am coming back to, so what is the first step? To know the material and to know the tools we discussed. There is also the practical tool of meditation, which is dwelling deep into your mind. Going and finding out the calmest and the most tranquil part of your mind by turning within. And please don't worry about experiences. Some people meditated only for 6 months and they are seeing God. As I said, are they under bhang or something? Or can you see more visions than an LSD addict? No yogi can see. That's not a criteria. The criteria is that the mind is coming down. It's quiet. It's gone to the root and the essence of its consciousness, awareness. And there is unlimited bliss. This is the thing. I mean, once you touch a corner of it, you're not perturbed by anything that happens in this world. One thing happens. You might become kind and compassionate. I don't know how it happens, but it is there. Apart from that, there are no signs. One may go 10 times into samadhi and come back. But that is not samadhi. If you come back the same person that you were, caught and addicted with all the things that you had, that's not samadhi. It cannot be. An idiot, if he goes into samadhi, comes out a wise man. That is samadhi. Not visions, not lights. So, this is encouragement and a discouragement. Encouragement because you don't see light, don't worry about it. Somebody might be either bluffing or maybe nervous wrecks, so they see all this. Some people, when I said, I'm jumping, I said, you have weak nerves. This is not spiritual. So, calming is the opposite of jumping. So, go quiet into this. So, again, I'm come back to this. Come backing, I said. Come backing. I am come backing, new word. No harm. Material. Tools we have discussed, material. The material is me. And therefore, the first definition of self, to know myself, not what I am going to be or as what this, as I am now. This is important. We usually put that all under the rug and say, oh, I am the Brahman. How many people have touched the truth by simply sitting and saying, I am not the body, I am the Brahman? Anybody? Ramana Maharshi didn't say that, he experienced it. So, if you wear a cowpin and sit in Thiruvananthapuram and keep saying, I am not the body, I am not the body, I am the Brahman, is this possible? This is just a repetition. And is it so special that you get the Brahman only in Thiruvananthapuram? You may get it in Madanapalli or you may get it in Chennai, who knows? Just because Ramana Maharshi came there. So, these are things to be thought over. I bow down to Ramana Maharshi, but people, it has also become like people have made caricatures. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So, we should know ourselves as we are, who we are, Suppose I have a good tool. If that wood is of a particular quality, the tool may be good, but it may not be the right tool to use. Suppose I have in this everything matters. Birth, circumstances, the food you eat, who you are, what is your position. All these are, so each person is different. And that person should find it himself. He can't say, I am equal to all, I am the same. No. Depending on that, you can start working with it. What tools to find. Right? So, having considered all that, a teacher who has good connection with you will be able to point out, here, look, this is what I think it is. Now it's for you to find out. And then slowly see who you actually are. Forget about who you're going to be. Don't project. Shankara said, the world is a projection on the reality. Correct. In his sense, yes. I'm saying that I am the Brahman and projecting it on this world, that is also an illusion. First I should find out where I stand. What am I going to do? And then when I am purified and cleared and my mind has become tranquil and settled down, then I know the reality of what I am. There is no harm in saying that in truth I am not this body or the mind, I must be something else. But don't define it and don't have images of it and don't imitate others. Be on your own. So first come face to face with the material. You can do that only if you look without prejudice. If you don't need anybody to point it out to you, you can find it yourself. If you have any problem, ask somebody who you think is a little senior to you, who can advise you. What is it that... So slowly you find out. Then you have the tools. Once you find, and the same tools may not suit different material. You may have to use another. Some dry people are all the time thinking. They may need a little music, a little emotional indulgence. There are some who are simply emotionally indulgent, emotionally high hysteria, thinking that they have found the Brahman, they need to be brought down to the earth. So, this is what is interesting, that it's a multifaceted journey from all sides. 2 points before we wind up. 1, yes, the scriptures say it is the experience of many great people that in true essence we are the fulfilled, complete, blissful Paramanandam, Paramatma, and Anantamanandam, endless happiness. Unfortunately, as we stand now, we don't know that. We can only think about it. Now, if you start working on your mind and make it free of its distractions and conflicts and all the different techniques of yoga, including Kriya, are meant to do that. Plus, let me add one more thing. The prana is quite unbalanced in most people. So you have pranayama, in which Kriya also comes, by which you balance the prana so that the mind becomes clear. It's no more going dilly-dallying. Not dilly, it is tranquil. When this happens, then you slowly discover the truth that you are not this but that. So, again, coming back to what I said, the first step is to see myself as I am. What is the raw material available to me? And it's the duty of the teacher to point this out and not put a person into some kind of a hypnotic trance and say, oh, you're okay, hunky-dory or this. So get him out, let him realize the truth. So here, what is the truth? What am I? It will be a little disheartening to know this, but it's a fact. Like Upanishad says, shad also means shaking up. So it's a shaking up. Nobody likes churning and shaking ups. So this is done, and then the proper tools, which is meditation, pranayam, thinking also about it, studying the swadhyaya, studying this yourself, trying to study the scripture. Swadhyaya also means trying to study the self. Swadhyaya. And then in the end, the mind slowly loses its jumping around properties, becomes relaxed, becomes quiet, and then who knows, in a split second you might suddenly get the whiff of that breeze and say, here I am. But then if you feel that, you know that you can't say, oh, I am self-realized. You cannot say that. Nobody can say that, because self, as long as it is there, the small self, there cannot be the bigger self. You can say, perhaps I am, I don't know. It is why the Upanishad said, he who knows, knows not, and he who knows not, knows. Keep this in mind. Don't get caught up in cults. Stay. Understand, move, go in, figure out, experiment, find out. So now, who are we at the moment? Unfortunate human beings who are asked to shut down and sit here because the virus is coming to us. But at one point there is a stage where no virus can touch you. That is your true state, which is the Supreme Brahman. About which the Upanishad said, in manasa namanyute, which even the mind cannot kind of comprehend. Enahur manomatam, because of which the mind gets its capacity to be aware, conscious. Tadeva brahmatvam vidhi, understand, O disciple, that is the only truth. Nedam yad idam upasate, nothing that you worship here. It's not me, it's the Upanishad. And as I worship here, it includes the Guru. So thank you very much. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. I hope I haven't shaken you off. Shaking up is one thing, shaking off is another.